The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q101.
It's Brian and Kenzie, time for Kenzie's Crimes. When Kenzie brings a crime to me in case that we don't know what she's going to get into. Maybe it's something you've heard about and know a little bit about. Maybe you've never heard anything about it. We're all going to gather around the campfire while Kenzie tells a story of crime, mystery, and sometimes murder.
It is a crime, kind of. It's not illegal, but I don't think it's legal either. It's so weird. I can't wait to share it with you guys because I was captured by it when I saw this headline.
So this one must not be murder then, right?
I'm not going to say.
Okay, I'll just sit back and listen. Go ahead, Kenzie.
Maybe it's murder with a point. Like, I'm like, I feel you, girlfriend, okay? You don't know, so just wait.
Your definition of murder is different than others.
Yep, it certainly is.
That is accurate.
Sometimes it's just like you're supposed to. You know what I mean? So Margaret Bernstorff was one of 4 children who lived in Evanston, Illinois, with their parents, Frank and Lillian. So they moved into their home in Evanston in the 1920s when Margaret's father was a professor of German studies at Northwestern University.
Entschuldigen Sie.
Now, before you don't worry, it's not another Northwestern thing. Don't worry.
He didn't haze anybody there, did he?
Yeah, did they mention the showers? Does the word shrekking ever come up?
Not in this story. This controversy happened outside Northwestern, like the good old days. You know?
There's no spin cycle involved here. I think that was the hazing.
That was one of them.
So they went in there naked in the
I
shower.
have them all memorized, Brian.
I kind of wish one of them would have happened to me.
Why? What would have been good about that?
I can sue and get some money for Northwestern.
Wow.
That's so you take trauma for the rest of your life.
For a payday, yes.
Okay.
Smart man.
I'm trying to buy an Escalade. I've talked about that. Need some money.
Yeah, an Escalade would be nice.
Anyways.
Yes.
Oddly enough, all of Frank and Lillian's kids, Margaret, Elaine, Frank, and Anita, never got married, never had children, and never showed much interest in moving out of their childhood home on 1216 Judds Avenue in Evanston. The family truly lived a super blessed life. Their father, Frank, worked at Northwestern University as a professor up until retirement and left enough money for his children that they didn't need to work.
Nice.
All 4 kids.
Wow.
Now, I don't think they were like wearing Chanel, but maybe they were. But I think that's awesome.
That is great.
My dad was never like, I'm going to work so hard that you don't have to. My dad was like, get your ass outside.
Yeah, I remember my dad saying, I have nothing for you, so find something you like to do that will not keep you living in a box under Lakeshore Drive. Something like that. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but it was something like that.
House.
Yeah.
One of the two.
Right.
So they were all kind, they were all loving, and they were all happy to live together. And it really seemed like nothing would ever separate them.
That's
and
nice.
I'm going to stop right there.
Oh, well, it could end up be really sweet if it ended right there and there was no.
It sounds like a nice story.
Yeah.
Is the crime love and compassion?
Because I hate it.
Because if that's an arrestable offense, lock me up.
Yeah, you're so lovable.
All right, so when we come back, we'll see something has to go wrong here, I assume.
Well, this is a perfect family. What could possibly go wrong? Everyone loves each other and lives with each other.
Dun, dun, dun. All right, when we come back, Kenzie's Crime continues. You find out what happened with this supposedly beautiful, perfect family.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q101.
And we're back. Kenzie's Crimes. Brian and Kenzie on Q101 with the second part to Kenzie's Crimes, where you set us up very nicely how it left off with no real mystery of what could go wrong.
Right. So Margaret Bernstorff, really fast as a recap, was one of 4 children. They lived in Evanston, Illinois. They lived a super blessed life. Her father was a professor at Northwestern University. And when he retired, left enough money for all of his kids. They didn't have to work. They stayed in the home. None of them married. None of them had kids, which is really odd. 4 kids.
Yeah.
For them to all be like, no thanks. But whatever.
No thanks.
I don't know. It was odd. So obviously after so many years in this home, neighbors had come to know the family really, really well, even though they described them as incredibly private people. After many years, Margaret had made it to old age. She was in her 90s, and neighbors had stopped seeing her other siblings around. There was no mention of Elaine, but she had said her brother Frank moved to Indiana to live near other relatives. And when a local contractor did repairs on her home, who had done them a bunch of times for the family for so many years, inquired about her sister Anita, Margaret told him she was upstairs and not feeling well. So it was 2008. Margaret had hit the age of 94. Neighbors did their best to help her when they did see her out. They assisted her in getting up the front stairs, carrying groceries, etc. And they finally convinced the elderly woman that it was probably time to go to a nursing home because she's living in a home with stairs by herself. It just didn't seem overly safe. So police showed up, ready to assist elderly Margaret, and upon arriving at her home, noticed a very rancid smell,
Oh, no.
which led them to want to search her home. It did not take long for officers to realize all three of Margaret's siblings had never left the childhood home. They discovered Elaine, Anita, and Frank's corpses, all in separate rooms covered by blankets.
Oh, God. Now,
Shock and horror filled the police officers as well as the neighbors as soon as word got out, which did not take long. These bodies had remained residents of the home for some of them 30 years. Anita Bernstorff died in May 2008 at the age of 98. Frank Bernstorff died in 2003 at the age of 83. And Elaine Bernstorff died when she was 60 in the late 1970s. This is 2008. That's how long the corpse was in the house.
oh, wow.
I've never seen you make a face like that before.
I don't know how you make meatloaf with that smell in the air. You know what I mean?
Hey, Mom! The meatloaf! We want it now!
You know? Ew.
Can you imagine the Febreze sales for that house? They must have just
Jeez.
had those Glade plugins on lock.
I just would be a good advertisement for them.
Yeah.
So
Hey, if you have a dead body in your home,
How about free?
Well, it's like when Dawn does the dishwasher does the company and they just wash off animals with oil on them, so you know it would work on plates. They're like, this girl hit bodies. Like, imagine what it would do for you. Just have a dog.
Oh.
Like, imagine what it would do for you.
I don't think that was the purpose of the dog commercials, was to wash off a duck and go like, oh, well, it'll work on my plate.
Well, that's what they were selling it for. They weren't like, go wash your own ducks.
You know what? You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
They're like, look how good it works. We're saving all these animals. Imagine how clean your plates are going to be.
I've never thought about it like that before.
I also,
What else? They're not like join in.
well, I think they also are trying to say how safe it is, too. Like, if we can wash this duck off, oil.
Well, again, yeah, so the duck's safe. Well, I mean, there's oil on the duck. I think it can handle soap.
Well, right, but some soap would hurt the duck, I think, worse than the
Not
oil.
worse than
its
the
eyes.
oil.
From the BP oil spill.
I mean, you
I
can
mean,
sit there.
choose your poison. If one leaves you without oil on your body,
If it gets oils like Alaskan pipeline oil off of a duck, it's going to get that meatloaf off your plate.
Yeah.
That's
the
what's-
leftover ziti.
or when you heat up your pizza on the cheese, you know when the cheese heats up on a plate,
Yeah.
it's impossible.
I hate that.
Not
you
for
just,
Dawn.
You
'cause
just
they can-
suck it up, though.
Right, you just scrape it off later.
It's like a crunchy snack later on.
Oh, God,
Yeah, well, I mean, sometimes you can't get it off, except when you use Dawn because they can clean off ducks. It's so strong.
So should we use Dawn on these bodies in the bed?
Okay,
I've
so-
lost track of where we are.
The Cook County Medical Examiner declared that all three deaths were of natural causes. So she
Okay.
did not murder her siblings.
That's good.
It was all of natural causes. The Evanston Police Department commented and said Margaret had neglected to report the deaths of her family members.
Clearly. Yeah.
They claimed that there was no fraud. She was not trying to collect security checks. That was a huge rumor about this story, as that she was collecting all the checks off of her siblings' dead bodies. That was claimed that she did not know anything. They just thought maybe she was a little older and close with her family members, and nobody ever wanted to leave that house, and she kept it that way.
I got to admit, I wouldn't mind that. Like if I passed, that I was just leave me in bed. Just leave me sitting in bed. And
Right, because you don't want Megan to date other people.
no one's getting in that bed.
Yeah, you're like, leave me there. You better not marry me, bitch.
Hey, protect the paint.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q 101.